this is Ray from Bricksbuilder, and today we will be building this layout. I saw this layout posted in the inner circle of Kevin Gary, and I thought, hey, I would like to try and build this layout, and I might as well just make a video about it. And once it's done, I will also add it to the content, to the library. You can find it under the content section. This will just be a content section that you can just grab and use. But I thought, hey, let me just take you guys through the process as I do it. So I'll be building it live, and you guys can just follow me along. And I will be explaining the how and the what. And yeah, I hope it's an educational process. And I want to make more of these videos, as I've already communicated in the group. And I hope that we can all learn from this kind of video. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, before we enter into the builder, if you're ever going to build a block or whatever section or any kind of design, something that I do, I don't know if you guys do it too, but I always first think about the structure, right? So, okay, how am I going to build this? I don't just go into the builder and just start dropping elements into the builder. I first think about the structure. Okay, so how would I build this, right? Okay, first of all, we'll need a section, okay? Section that will contain all the elements, all the blocks, etc. And then, okay, how am I going to build the first part and the second part? Is this going to be in one container, or is this going to be separate? Can you build this in one container? It most likely must be possible. So the approach I'm taking, because I won't say there's a right and wrong, you know. There are obviously there's a right way to do something and there's a wrong way to do it, but there's sometimes multiple ways of doing certain or reaching a certain kind of result without it being wrong per se, if you guys follow me. Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll have a section, I'll have a container, so this image will be in a container, and this bottom part will be in another container in the same section. So this section will have two containers, and to make it easier for me to manipulate the bottom section, because this also the bottom section will be overlapping the top section. So yeah, that's the way I'll be doing it. Okay, let's jump into the builder, and first thing I do is I just lay out all the elements that we need. Okay, so we need a section. I'll just call this content X as an example, you know. And obviously, I think when I'm done with this, I might have to delete the classes, but anyways, this is just for educational purposes. So we have a content, and then we have a container, and I'll add another container, not nested but apart. So we have a container, and in this container I'll add a block and an image. And this image will sit in the block, and this block I'll call media. And then in this container we will have we need two blocks, because this is two columns, and then we'll add in these elements, and then we'll create, this is a list of the data. I'll just call it list of data. So let's go ahead and do that. Whoops, where am I? I'll add in two blocks. I scroll too far. Block. And this block we will need, we have I keep on scrolling too far. We have a heading, we have the accent heading, and we have just the body text. So I can see here. Okay, so we have everything on this side, and then just call this content. Heading, basic text, I'll just call this accent, and this I'll call text. And for this one, this will be the data. This will be the block that's wrapping all the data. And then we need, I need a block, this will be the unordered list, and another block which should be the list item. So this I'll call data. No, I'll call this, okay, this is data, this will be a data list. this will be just an item or data item. Spelled it wrong correctly. Okay, and in this item we need an icon. There are two ways to do this. You could either add this number in a normal text and then add the percentage through a pseudo element after, or you could just create two divs and add a percentage, which that will just make it easier to edit, you know, instead of going into the, you could go into the CSS and change it to a percentage or change it to a plus, but those are just both ways of going about this. Yeah, so what I will do is I will create, let me see, okay, so we need an icon and we need, I'll create a div element. I'm just going to do it the simple way. Maybe I can show you guys both ways, but or not. I'll call this the number wrapper. And then I'll add a basic text and a basic text again. So both basic text, and I'm just putting this is 98. Oh, it's flipped. And this was a percentage. So this is a percentage. Percentage, and then the last is also text. Don't know what to call this. Label or something. Let's just call it label, for lack of better words for naming conventions and stuff. Okay, so label, and then this will be a paragraph, and this will be also make this a paragraph, and this will be a span. Okay, so now that we have everything listed, named, now we can start adding the CSS. So this is content X. Just copy that because I'll be using it. Why did I add no uppercase? Let's keep it lowercase. Okay, so let's add a container. This is a container. Look, I copied over the uppercase. Okay, let's copy this. So I want to retype it. Yes, and you might be saying, okay, why are you not using AutoBAM? Why are you not using Advanced Team also has like a class manager or the current class manager of Bricks? Okay, I'm actually adding the CSS, so in this case I'll be AutoBAM could be very useful, or I've not used Advanced Team yet. I've a lot of people have been schooling me in the group saying, hey, you need to use it because you'll be more productive. So I will be using it in the coming weeks. I have to obviously learn how it works and see how it, if it will improve my workflow, which I think it will. But for now, let's just add in the class because you can see it being done manually. And this is what I've been doing for the past year, adding classes manually. Yes, I'm crazy. Anyways, let's continue. This is the image. And for this container, so kind of modifier, second container, I could say, I could call this container bottom, or I could just say this is the alt. This is the second container. Okay. Content. Let's say that again. This is the content. This is the heading. And for the accent, I already have an accent class, so that I use. Oh, wait. So just scroll. This is the accent class. As you can see, it has an order of 1. So let me put this to span. I'm not giving them elements. This is a H2. 2, and this is also paragraph. Okay, as you can see, the accent heading automatically jumped to the first position because it has an order of 1, and I use it like everywhere, so I don't need to be rewriting that class because it does. This is what it has to do, so it does what it does. Let me just call this accent heading. Okay. Let me just put a text header on, or medium headline that educates your visitor, something like that. Okay. And as for the body text, let me just grab something here. I think this is good enough. Put that there. Some spacing. Yes, okay. Oh, I'm not giving this text yet, and I've lost my content. Content text. I need to copy this again. Okay. Okay, so now we have the data. This is our data. And this part is going to be an ordered list, so I need to add an ordered list here, and this will be data list. Data list. Okay. I will add the utility class of list. I'm building this with Automatic CSS. If I was using core or normal CSS, I would just go to style and just add a padding here. I know core has a list, also a list none, but I think it removed only the list style. I'm not sure if it resets the padding. I'm not sure. So normally I just also add here a 0 because the default unordered list always have a 40 pixel padding. That's just default of the browser. So we need to remove that so we make sure that our list aligns to the rest of the to the container. Okay, so we have that in. That's good. So we need to also add a class here. This would be a data item, and I'll copy this whole CSS class because I needed to name the rest, because this is like a card now. This is an item. It's a list, and this icon, I'll give it data item icon. And we need to name the wrapper too. This wrapper is, the reason of this wrapper is so that I can add a flex row, because I want the percentage to be next to the 98. And for this one, I'll call this number, and I'll call the prefix. No, is it suffix? No, suffix. Right? Correct me, guys, if I'm wrong. Okay, we have that there. Let me see, you have the number in. I'll add this. This is the data item number. And then we have our data item suffix. And last one is the label. And once we do this, we can enter into the next stage. So here we go. This is the label. And okay, now we've set everything, we have everything in it. So now, the next step now is we're going to start styling it, okay? So if I just go back to the design, as you can see, it has no top padding on the section. It might have a left padding on the right, sorry, on the left, and maybe also on the right. Yeah, it has on the right and also on the bottom. So first things first is to go to the section. I will remove the top padding, so set that to 0. And I will also, let me see, set this to no, the container. I'll set the container to position. No, I don't think I need to do that. What I will do next is add an image. It has to be this is a good one. Do that. Add this image, give it a figure tag, set it to cover, and I wanted to give it aspect ratio of 16:9:9 because it has a longer width than height. So to always keep that aspect ratio. And then what I want to do is, because now we want it to stretch to the end of the screen, so I'll give it a max width of 100 VW and also a width of 100 VW because I want it to stretch. Okay, now it might be too high, so I want to also control the height. I will give it a height of 45 rem. So we have a controlled height, and I will also add a overflow hidden to the section Y. Let me show you guys what happens on the front end. We'll get a scroll, and yeah, we don't want that. And at the same time, our content will be reaching the edges, and we can already get the first part of the design, right? Okay, so let us add a hidden to the overflow property. Here we go. So let's save it and let's check on front page and see, okay, the overflow is gone. That's what we want. Okay, so now we can move on to the next phase. We can start styling the bottom container. So first things first, I'll add a padding. No, that's not the first time I'm doing on the container. We need to create a grid because we need 2 columns. So I'll add this to our display, set this to display grid. On the grid template columns, we need I think a 3 to 2 column grid is okay. So set this to 3 to 2 column. I would not give this a grid gap because I want it to sit next to this, next to the other columns. We might add, or we will add a grid column on one of the lower breakpoints, I think on landscape, because they're into stack, so we'll need to separate them. We'll add that when we get there. But first, for now, this is the we wanted to divide it like this: 3 by 2, so basically 5 columns. And if you had to write this out without the variable grid, let's say you're using Core or CSS, this is what you would do. You would basically just do min max. Sorry about that. Min max 0, and then set this to 3FR, and duplicate it. Set this to 2. So this is also 2. This is also 3 by 2. So this will give you the same. This is the same result, right? Okay, but now we're using the variables of ACSS, so we just add 3, 2. So there you go. No grid gap, as I said. No other setting here. And then we move on to the content. So on the content, we need some padding. So I'll set this to, I think Excel is good. We just make sure it's on all sides. There we go. The next thing I want to do is give this a content gap on the row gap. So if you're using Core or CSS, you just have to add a value here, maybe 2.4 rem. Or if you're using Core and you've been an ACSS user and you've also created the content gap, and you have then linked this content gap to the space variables of Core, you can do the same thing here. So content gap goes here, and there we have it. So we have our left column, but I would like to beef this font size up because it's a little bit small. So I'll be taking the h2 variable, and I'll be doing that times, I think, 1.6 or something. So we have a calc math function going on here. So we have our variable of h2 and times 1.6, because I want it to be a little bit bigger, like here, right? Trying to match this template, this design. So we have that there, and this is okay. So we can move on to the next thing. So let's go on to the data. So this is the next phase. We're going to style the data list. Let's just go back to our design. As you can see, there is not really a padding around it, so we don't need to style the data wrapper or the data column in this case, or the grid item that is data. But the data list, we don't need to style this either. What we do need to do is create a grid, because it's a grid of 2 columns. So just add 2 columns. If you're using core ACSS, you need to add the code is repeat. Let me just write that out. So this is what you do, repeat. And you set this to min max. Sorry guys, let's type that. Min max 0 on FR. So this will be 2 columns. It's equivalent to this. It's the same thing. 2 columns. Here we will add a grid gap because there's a spacing here. So we added a grid gap. So now that we've styled the list, let's go on to the item. We need padding around it, so let's add padding. So sorry. So that's a padding of space M. And if you're a core user, it has the same spacing variables, so you can follow along and do this. It's the same thing. So space M, and we need to give this a background. I'll just give it a background of neutral ultra light. So there we go. And we need some spacing between the items. So we come to row gap, add a content gap, and if I compare this with this might be a little bit bigger. Wait, let me just add. Ooh, sorry guys. Sorry about that. Positive feedback. And we might want to beef up this. It's way too large. Think now. Yeah, now it's good. The number also has to be bigger. I think in Excel would be good. And let us just go to the, on the way to, before we do that, the suffix, we also make this a little bit bigger. I think this is okay. And for the number, we need to add a font weight of 700. And if you are looking, if you like the font or anything, I'm using Victory. If you're interested in the font, so I'm using Victory. So okay, we go back to the number wrapper, and we set this to display flex. Row. Let me just switch out. Sometimes once you set the direction, the options here do not change. So sometimes I need to switch to style and content. Maybe it has been fixed. It was a weird bug, but anyways. So we need to set this to baseline so that it will match, to be on the same line as the 98 number. Also, if we set it to end, it will move all the way down, so it will not match. So baseline is what we need. We want it to be on the same line. Okay, so baseline, and then we need some spacing. If I was to just add content gap, oh sorry, that's the wrong column gap. Let's put it on the column gap. Sorry guys. So the column gap, but this is way too large. So we need a calc function here. So just do it this way. Calc, and then say divided by 2. So now you see it's much shorter, but this is still way too much. So I'll divide it by 4. Well, that's looking better. I could say 6. 6 is good. 6 is much closer. So let's change the icon. Wait, I'll make it a little bit smaller first. To 0.4m, and I will change this to just a smiley. So smile. Here we go. But the spacing here is also too big. So what I will do is I will just copy this. Oops, because I do not want to retype it. So we go back to our item. We already had our content gap. I will just replace it, and then maybe -2, -4. Go for -4. -4 is looking good. So on our now that we've styled our item, our data item, let's go back to data list. Sorry, let's go back to our data, because I want this to be positioned at the bottom, so to be pushed down, because here on the design, as you can see, it's on the bottom, so it's pushed down, right? Because if I keep it on the top here, once we move this whole container up, it will display here, and we don't want that, so we need to move it down. So this is moved down. I will duplicate the item. Here we go. And this was 15 plus, and this was a home. So here, smiley home, as you can see, years of experience. Let's change that, years of experience, with uppercase, capital letter. Okay, let me save this. Okay, so let's go to the front. Let's see how far we've come. So this is what we have right now, right? We have our image, and we have our left column, we have a right column with the list of our data list. So now we just need to push it up. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to use also a variable to do that, and top margin with a calc function. So I'll go to our container. Yes, you could just say something random like, okay, minus, I don't know, 150 pixels, and to go up. Okay, the top container is overlapping it. We'll fix that issue after this. It's now minus 150 pixels, quite random, but I want to use the spacing variables to still have some control when I'm doing it. So basically what I will do is a -1, and then multiplied by the spacing XXL, and then enter. Okay, so it is pushed up right now, and we want the container to overlap, the bottom container to overlap the top container. So we set this to relative, and now it's on top, as you can see. But we forgot to add, a background. Forgot to add a background image to the content, which I'm going to do now. So go back to background, colors, white. By the way, if you're wondering how I did that, it's right mouse click, because if you just click on it, you get the default Bricks UI for the color. If you press a right mouse click, you can get this screen, which is in ACSS. Core has it too, but it's a little bit different, obviously. So we have now a white background. So let's save and let's see how it looks on the front. Okay, this has been pushed up. It's looking pretty nice, right? You could say that this is a little bit higher, but yeah, you can always tweak the calc function, right? You could it's now calc, it's -1 times the var, the variable spacing. I could set this in like brackets and then do this and then multiply the spacing XXL by 2 to make it to increase the height, right? But let's just leave it like this. Now all we need to do is fix the responsive, the different breakpoints. So let's just go through them. If you go to the tablet, what we'll see, this is okay. What I'm also thinking right now, maybe it's smart to do the following. We can let's remove the bottom spacing. And even here they have a little bit more text, so let me just add a little bit more text to it. That. Let's see what we get. Maybe it's too much. Yeah, this is okay. This is perfect. There we go. Okay, because the space here was getting a little bit thin, so I needed more text. Okay, so we just add a little bit more text to it. And if we move here, you can see this. This is somewhat still acceptable. But once we get here, then we need to really do something about the layout. And we also need to do something about the image, because we still have this space here, right? We could choose to let this image be full width, so it will also cover this white space, which we're going to do. So we'll go back to our image, we go to our style, and we go first to the left margin. We set it to a -50 view width. I'll also do that for the right side. And then I'll then go to the left positioning, and I'll set this to 50%, which will obviously fill it. And I also set the right to 50%. And now it's going to fill the whole width on your mobile landscape and mobile portrait. Once we go to tablet, we'll get our spacing back. So here I wanted to fill the whole space. And then on the container, I will do the following. I will change the template columns from 5 columns, or in this case, split 3 and 2 columns. I'll set it to 1 column. So now it's stacked, because that's the way I want it. And now I need to add some grid gap. So there's some space between the content and the data list. And I'll also on the content element, I'll bring back the bottom padding to just give it a little bit more space. And this is how you basically do this. We're actually done. I don't need to change anything on the data list, because this just looks good. Nothing wrong with this. And I think we're basically done. I don't think I forgot anything. Obviously there's some cool stuff you can do. You can add some interaction to it and stuff, but this is basically how I just copied this block. And obviously this the width is a little bit smaller, so to show you an example, if this was, let me just pull this up. If I was to, I don't know how large this is, you know, from this side to this side, but let's say I squish, let's say, okay, this is full width. If I start squishing it, you somehow get the same spacing, right? Maybe this is not perfectly the same, but you have basically the same layout. Obviously I could add more spacing to the bottom here to make this a little bit larger, higher, because here you see it's quite tall. There's quite a lot of spacing here and here. And here, okay, let me do that, because I can see there is a little bit more spacing there, right? Let's see what happens. Let's just do that. So it's set to M now. If I bump it to Excel, is a little bit more L, and then L at the bottom. Just a little bit higher. Okay, well, looks a little bit different now. Yeah, I like it. So this is basically how it, if we go down, it stacks, and then we get to mobile. That's looking good. So this is basically how we do this. So this is how I just totally rebuilt this whole layout in Bricks. We have reached the end of this educational video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will this block I've built it in the alpha template library. So if you have the LTD, or if you have a license, you can already access it. I have not added a thumbnail to it in the remote template, and it's not on the library yet. I still need to convert this to core and CSS, which I will be doing. But I just wanted to make this video real quick to share this, and I'll be. You can find this also on the. Well, you'll be watching this on YouTube anyways. That's where you can find it. I will just send. I'll paste the link in the Facebook group. But I hope you guys like this video. I certainly enjoyed it. I want to be making more of these, and yeah. I hope you guys have a nice day. If there are any questions, if there's anything I forgot, if there's anything that you guys want to add to it, anything that can make me build the blocks quicker, faster, efficiently, I would love to hear it, because feedback will only make this product better, and I can keep on growing. You guys can keep on growing. Yes? Okay. You guys have a nice day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.